The scales of integrity and understanding. In the heart of a bustling city stands a temple of truth, known as the Courtroom of Judge Ebony K. Williams. To many, it is merely a building of stone and wood, but to those seeking clarity, it is a place where the soul of justice breathes. On the bench sits a woman whose presence commands immediate respect. She is a tapestry of American identity, woven from the rich soil of North Carolina and the deep roots of Louisiana, seasoned with the effortless cool of the West Coast and sharpened by the relentless edge of New York. Her nameplate is not just a title, but a promise that the only perspective that matters within these four walls is the one guided by the law and human decency. Judge Williams looked down at the woman before her with a gaze that was both firm and inviting. She spoke of the values that form the bedrock of the nation: freedom and integrity. These were not just words to her. They were the stars she steered by. When a minor tension flickered in the room, she addressed it with the poise of a seasoned arbiter, ensuring that every individual understood the boundaries of respect. She reminded those present that while one may run a household, in this court, the law holds the ultimate authority. Her journey to the bench was fueled by a singular desire to be a voice for the voiceless and to ensure that people from every walk of life, regardless of their background, color, or creed, received equal justice. The first case of the day brought two women, Steph Foley and Vanessa Tyson, to the podium. The air was thick with the scent of a misunderstanding that had spiraled into a legal dispute. Steph Foley, the plaintiff, sought the sum of $1,209.99. She was a teacher, a woman whose life was built on responsibility and the guidance of young minds. Across from her stood Vanessa Tyson, a woman who enjoyed the social rhythms of life and hosted frequent gatherings at her home. The conflict began at a Friday night party. Steph had arrived as a guest of a mutual friend named Rachel. Being unfamiliar with the host and the social circle, Steph found herself feeling like an outsider in a room full of laughter and history. To ease her discomfort, she sought a moment of sweetness in the form of a brownie sitting on the dining table. She had no inkling that this simple dessert contained cannabis. After consuming it and later attempting to drive home, she was stopped by the police for rolling through a stop sign. The hidden influence of the THC made communication nearly impossible, leading to her arrest and a charge of driving under the influence. Judge Williams listened intently as Steph described the harrowing experience of spending a night in jail and the subsequent financial burden of legal fees, classes, and vehicle towing. The judge acknowledged the gravity of the situation, noting that for a teacher, such a mark on her record could have devastating consequences beyond just the wallet. When it was Vanessa's turn to speak, she defended her actions by claiming that her parties were a well-known tradition. She insisted that a sign was always placed near the brownies to warn guests of their potency. She argued that everyone in her circle knew the nature of her treats. However, under the piercing questions of the judge, the flaws in this logic began to surface. Vanessa admitted she did not know Steph well and had spent the evening socializing in another room. The judge examined a photograph of the sign provided by Vanessa. It was a small, handmade notice that read "Weed brownies laced with THC." While the sign existed, the judge pointed out a fundamental truth. It is not reasonable to expect a first-time guest to be aware of the private customs of a household. The responsibility to inform guests of controlled substances lies squarely on the host. Judge Williams spoke with a tone of profound concern. A DUI is not merely a legal inconvenience, it is a matter of life and death. By failing to ensure that her guest was emphatically informed of the ingredients, Vanessa had placed Steph in a position of involuntary consumption. The judge ruled that the cost of this mistake should not be borne by the victim. She ordered Vanessa Tyson to pay the full amount of $1,209.99 to Steph Foley. As the two women left, the lesson was clear. Transparency and the safety of others must always come before social tradition. The court then shifted its focus to a different kind of discord, one born from the high expectations of a wedding day. Lucy Olson, a new bride, stood before the judge seeking $1,000 from Tina Graham, a singer she had hired for her ceremony. Lucy felt betrayed, claiming that the live performance she paid for was nothing more than lip-syncing. Tina Graham, the defendant, did not deny using a pre-recorded track, but offered a reason rooted in the physical limits of the human voice. She explained that Lucy had insisted on an extra, full rehearsal on the very day of the wedding, despite Tina's warnings that it would strain her vocal cords. By the time the reception arrived, Tina's voice was damaged. To fulfill her contract and ensure the event had music, she and her band utilized a high-quality recording they kept for such emergencies. The situation was further complicated by a countersuit. Tina was also seeking $1,000 from Lucy, citing a social media post Lucy had made the morning after her wedding. The post called Tina a fraud and a scam, leading to the loss of future clients and income. Judge Williams navigated the complexities of the case with a balanced hand. She agreed with the bride that a contract for a live singer implies a live vocal performance. An audio recording, no matter how high the quality, does not satisfy the expectation of a live event. However, the judge also addressed the harm caused by Lucy's impulsive social media post. In the modern world, words shared online have the power to destroy livelihoods. In a rare and thoughtful judgment, the judge ruled in favor of both parties. She granted Lucy the $1,000 for the breach of contract, but she also granted Tina $1,000 for the damages caused by the defamatory post. The financial obligations canceled each other out, leaving both women with a zero balance, but a wealth of perspective. Judge Williams concluded the session by emphasizing the need for better communication. Whether it is a host serving guests or a professional fulfilling a contract, clear dialogue and mutual respect are the keys to avoiding the halls of litigation. The court adjourned, leaving behind the echoes of justice served with a blend of North Carolina heart and New York wisdom.